What's up? In today's video, I'm going to be working on the frame, so let's get into it. Alright, here's the frame as it sits, completely stripped down to just the frame. The frame itself is made out of 2x6 1/4-inch wall box tubing, and I did that for strength. All of the brackets that I made for the suspension are 1/4-inch plate with 1/8-inch plate on top of that to make it stronger. Here's the rear airbag brackets. This is the panhard bar bracket. Right here is the shock mount. This is a bed mount. All of the joints I plated with 1/4-inch for strength. Here's another bed mount. That's a body mount. This is the rear 4-link front mounts. That's a mount for the running boards. That's also a mount for the running boards. This is a mount for the front 4-link. And a front body mount. Here, this is a motor mount. That's a mount for the front shocks. Here's the front airbag mounts. Again, it's 1/4-inch plate with an 1/8-inch laminate on it. Up front, that's a mount for the fender. And then this cross member here holds the radiator, the intercooler, and some intercooler piping. If we come over to the driver's side, you can see this is the mount for the steering gear. That's a fender mount there. This is a panhard bar bracket. Here's the front airbag bracket, just like the passenger side. This is the bracket for the steering shaft to travel through. Here's the other shock mount. This is the driver's side motor mount. Here's another body mount. That's the front 4-link mount, running board mount, 4-link mount. There's another body mount. That's for the bed. And you can see more joints there. Inside we have the battery boxes. This is just a cross member. These brackets are for the air compressors. And these brackets here are for the air tanks. That's another bed mount. This is the shock mount. That's another airbag mount. And then in the rear here is the Reese hitch that I built in one of the previous videos. Okay, so why did I decide to build the entire frame? Because had I bought a frame off of another truck or used the original frame, it would have had to have been so heavily modified that by the time I was done, it would have been better off to just build a whole new one from scratch. So that's what I did. Would this frame work for your car? Probably not, because everything on this is so unique and one-off to the truck that I am building that it would be useless for your vehicle. Okay, so could you just go out and buy a frame like this? Yes, you could. There's companies like Roadster Shop or Art Morrison, a handful of other companies that make frames for hot rod trucks or off-road trucks like this, but a frame like that is $30,000, and I'm not gonna spend that kind of money on just a frame. You know, I have essentially that same style frame for a fraction of the cost. Okay, so could you build this same frame? Absolutely. Is it an undertaking? Yes, it is a huge undertaking, but the way I approach everything is just by doing one piece at a time. You know, essentially this was just a pile of steel that I have welded into a frame. I started with the box tube, did the frame rails, and then added every individual piece one step at a time. Which brings us up to where I am right now, and that is I want to finish welding everything that I could not reach while the truck was fully assembled. You know, there are certain brackets and areas that were up underneath the body that I could not reach to weld. So now I'm going to fully weld all this and then prep it for paint. Alright, now that everything's been completely welded, the next thing I'm going to do is start sanding everything with a DA and some 150 grit. Okay, I've got the frame all sanded down. Now the next thing I need to do is get this thing in the booth. Okay, I got the frame in the booth. Everything's wiped down. It's time to spray. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is spray this with some DP90, which is a black epoxy, and I'm using this as a sealer because that's what's going to prevent the rust. Okay, the main goal of spraying the epoxy is to get it in every single nook and cranny that you can, and to do that I'm rotating the frame upside down by using my engine hoist and engine stand as a rotisserie. If you don't have things like this, you could just paint the frame in the upside down position, because once the truck's assembled you'll never see the top side of the frame. Alright, the next step is to spray some base coat, and for that I'm using some Black Diamond, which is a Chrysler color. The paint code is PXJ and it's just a black metallic. Alright, the final step is to put some clear coat on it, and for this I'm using some DCU 2021, which is a high solids urethane. And just like the previous steps, I'm going to start with the frame in the upright position, but I want to finish with it in the upside down position because the underside of the frame is what you're going to see when the truck is assembled. Alright, here's the finished product. It's nice and shiny. Anytime you're painting something like this, the majority of the material that you're spraying wants to just go around the object because it's just a weirdly shaped object, and that's why the floor is covered in so much overspray, but that's all just a part of the process. Alright, it's the next day. I got the frame out of the booth. I think it looks pretty good. It's always hard to paint things like this because spraying inside all these little intricate areas while also maintaining a wet edge the entire time is really hard, but got it done, and 100% of the frame seems to be covered with material, so that was the goal, and I think it looks pretty good. There's a little orange peel in some spots, but 99% of this is going to be covered up by the body panels and the bed. So what you do see looks really good. I think the next step, I can start bolting some of the parts back onto the frame, and then I'm going to also probably paint some of the suspension parts, and then I'm going to rebuild the axles. I don't know what I'm going to film next. Maybe if you want to leave a comment below telling me what you might want to see, and I might film that, but I guess that's going to be it for this one, so I'll see you next time.